Thank you. All right, so we have a test on Thursday. Remember, tomorrow we have some kind of senior meeting, so we're not going to meet as a class.
I had like 10 fries, guys. Like, well, what was I at?
And then, so let's talk about what we did. So we did roots and we did I. So just a reminder, it's 3 square root of 2 plus 6 square root of 2.
Okay.
If they're the same, you can add them together. So 9 root 2.
Yeah.
All right.
I knew that.
No.
Let's say for example, though,
Can you put the name of like this topic? So like for example, if it were operations with complex numbers, can you like say it was?
I don't know how they say it there, so I can't say I will. But I'm just gonna. No, I won't say it. I guess I just won't. I just rather just do it. So this one is 3 square root of 2 plus. Let's do 4 square root 18.
So you do.
So this one you're like, okay, nothing matches, Mr. Tobel. So is there anything to do?
You do times. Wait, I don't want to sound dumb on the video.
Times
Times 9. No, what? This one I hate.
9 times 2, 3 and 3. So this is 2, 3, and 3. Because you have a pair of 3s, that gets to leave, while the 2 gets stuck behind. So I'm going to rewrite this. This is 3 root 2. Plus 4 times 3, which is 12 root 2. Oh, now they match. I can actually add them together.
I'm not gonna do good on this test.
15 root 2. Okay. So just remember, if you need to simplify a root, let's say 50, you got to break it down to small pieces, 25 and 2.
Where'd you get 15?
I'm just making up one. So 5 and 5. So if I want to simplify this, I have 2, 5, and 5. I have a pair of 5s that goes to the front. A 2's left over. So 5 root 2. Okay? When it comes to i's, it's the same rule. 3 plus 2i plus 6i minus 7 plus 10i. So in this situation, what you got to do is just combine like terms. So 2 plus 6 plus 10, 18i, 3, negative 7, negative 4. So 18i minus 4, negative 4 plus 18i is also a correct answer. When you multiply i's, or you multiply roots, you just multiply the roots themselves. So give me a second.
I bring 2 calculators.
Why? Okay, so when you add and subtract i's, you combine like terms. When you multiply I, so I times 3i,
I 3i squared, which really the I squared is negative 1, so it's negative 3.
wonderful. So just remember, i's have a special situation where when you I square, it becomes negative 1. So that could even happen when you do a foiling situation, like 2 plus 3i and 4 minus 6i.
Okay, got this.
We're going to foil.
2 times 4 is 8.
Mm-hmm.
Out of it. Wait.
Then 2 times negative 6.
Negative 12i,
Mm-hmm.
and then 3i times 4 is also 12i,
Yeah.
and then 3i times 6i is negative, well, because it's negative 6i, it's a negative 18i squared,
Good.
and then, okay, so it's 12 and 12.
So this is going to become positive 18. And negative 12 plus 12 happens to cancel out to 0. That doesn't always happen. So it's going to be
Then it's 8 plus
8 plus 18, which is going to be 26. 26. My fault now. All right. Good job. All right.
If it's questions like that, test, I'll do good.
Yeah, that's fine.
But don't
Oh, also you got to multiply square root. You got to multiply roots. So say 3 root 2 times 4 root 3. Just remember, outside numbers multiply, so that's 12. Inside numbers multiply, that's 6.
Multiplying square roots is easy. So
Yeah. And then I could also do just like with the I, distribute or foil, okay? With the roots. The last thing on your test is the rationalization. So that's what happens when you have a square root or an I on the bottom.
Ooh, this is bad. Oh wait, no, actually no, this is a little bit easier thing.
So your goal is to get rid of the square root on the bottom. The best way to always do that is just multiply the top and the bottom by the same square root. And you want to do, since it's square root 2 on the bottom, you're doing square root 2 on top and bottom. So in this case, it's 3 root 2 over what would be root 4, but you know what the square root of 4 is. So just 2. If you could simplify, try to simplify. But this is a 2 on the outside. This is a 2 on the inside. They don't interact, okay? So you're finished there. So if you had something like this, root 5 over root 2. Again, the only issue is not a root on the top, it's the root on the bottom. So I'm going to...
Times root 2 goes.
Yeah.
And then it's but then you do.
You actually multiply them because they're both in roots. So root 10 over normal 2. Yeah. And you cannot interact again because that's a 1 in the root, 1's not in the root. If you have a situation where there's like a plus sign in the middle, so let's say 3 over 2 or minus sign, root 3, let's say something like this, you have to use the conjugate. And the conjugate is just the same thing but with a minus sign in between. So it's going to be 2 minus root 3 over 2 minus root 3. That's just how it works out, because if you FOIL the bottom, so I'll do that in red over here. No, you'll see what happens. So 2 plus root 3 and 2 minus root 3. I'm going to FOIL. So that's going to be 2 times 2, 4. 2 times negative root 3, negative 2 root 3. Root 3 times 2 is positive 2 root 3. And root 3 times root 3, which is root 9, or negative 3. And it's minus because it's a positive negative. Wait a second. Negative 2 root 3 and positive root 2 root 3, they cancel out. And that's why we do the conjugate. Like this is going to be flipped.
So
because
that's wrong.
So the final answer is 4 minus 3, or just 1 on the bottom. So it's 1 on the bottom. And then this I'm just going to distribute. 6 minus 3 root 3. But again, it's a 1 on the bottom. So your final answer should just be 6 minus 3 root 3. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times root 3, they're inside and outside, so they don't interact.
I'm lost.
Which part?
I got 6 minus 3.
3 times 2 is?
Yeah, but then why you... Oh, okay.
You got to multiply the top and the bottom. Don't forget that.
3 times 2 is 6, and then... How do you get the 3?
3 times root 3.
Oh, you need to like...
You have to distribute. You have to distribute.
No, I'm lost.
But 3 times root 3, you can't interact with each other because one's inside and one's outside. So it's just 3 root 3. 2 times root 5 is 2 times root 5. They're just separated. That's all.
Oh,
okay. The next thing is when you deal with I. So let's say 3 over I. Again, you just want to get rid of the I on the bottom. So the best solution is to multiply the top and the bottom by I. So it's going to be 3I over I squared, which is really negative 1.
Which means it's negative 3I.
Good, which just makes the whole thing negative 3I. If it was like 2 over 3I, you still only care about the I is the issue. So we're just going to multiply the top and bottom with just I. We don't need 3I. We could use just I. So in this case, 2I over 3I squared. But we know I squared is negative 1. So it's going to be negative 2I over 3. If you left the negative on the bottom of the fraction, that's perfectly fine. And the same thing with the square roots earlier. 3 over 2 plus I. And then times on top and bottom. 2 minus I. 2 minus I. So on the top, it's going to be, we distribute. So it's going to be 6 minus 3I. On the bottom, we're going to FOIL. So it's going to be 2 plus I times 2 minus I. I'm going to FOIL quickly. So it's going to be 4 minus 2I plus 2I minus I squared. I squared is technically negative 1, so this is a plus 1. These two cancel out. So 4 plus 1 equals 5. So a little 5 on the bottom. And that's it. So we added, we subtracted, we multiplied, we rationalized with both I and square roots. That's pretty much it.
Don't you just multiply the top and